This is the final portion of our forum today, and this is the panel discussion topic, Partner with Taiwan, Access to Asia. We're very happy to have our organizer, Dr. Johnson Lee, who's the chairman from Development Center for Biotechnology, to be the moderator, to come up to the stage, so he will moderate the next session. And our panelists, first one I would like to call out is Dr. Yi-Hong Le, who is the founder and chairman of AST Products Inc. and iCare's Medicare Inc. Please come up to the stage, and we'll put your 10 card up for you as well. Next one is Dr. Stanley Chang. Please come up to the stage, as you have already heard his presentation earlier. Next is Dr. Christopher Fang. Also, I'd like to invite Mr. Glenn Giovannetti, who is the Global Life Sciences Sector Leader, Ernst & Young. Please come up to the stage. Thank you. So Dr. Johnson Lee, please take away the mic and take over the stage. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are very pleased to put together a panel of experts to discuss partner with Taiwan access to Asia from different perspectives. Let me introduce from my very left, Glenn Giovannetti. He is the Global Life Science Sector Leader, Ernst & Young. I think he can look at the partnering Taiwan access to Asia from an international business expert point of view, from a global point of view. And then Christopher Fang, who you have just heard from here, from Johnson & Johnson GPU Spine. So he could look at partnering with Taiwan access to Asia from a multinational company's point of view. And then Dr. Lo, Yi-Hong Lo, who started with a business as a founder and chairman of AST Products in Massachusetts, and also iCare's Medicus Inc. in Taiwan. So he actually started another new venture, partnering in Taiwan, partnering with Taiwan, and just a couple of years ago. And also he has involved some business in China as well. So he will be able to tell us another kind of experience. And lastly but not least, Stanley Chen, Dr. Chen. I think you also heard from him earlier. He is a real Taiwanese company, but also has an international collaboration and technology transfer from Australia. So all four of them will be able to tell us what's their experiences, their observations, and what's the opportunities and challenges in partnering with Taiwan access to Asia. Let's start with Glenn. Why don't you tell us from a global point of view, what do you think of partnering with Taiwan? Does it make any sense? Any opportunity? What's the challenges? And is that helpful in terms of access to Asia?
Sure. Thanks, Johnson. First of all, thank you to the organizers for having me here. It's been actually a very informative program. And I might, well, I do want to get at the concept of partnering, because that is the topic of the panel. I thought I would just start with a little bit of a broader perspective and take off a little bit on some of the themes that Christopher brought up in his talk, because I thought it was very informative. And one of the things he talked about was white space, right? And so I think, and I'll tie this back to partnering in the following way. Partnering, being the most compelling partner, is a matter of figuring out what their competitive advantage is and why, why would you be the partner of choice in any particular industry, sector, business dealing. And I think it's worth understanding if you start talking beyond, I'm really looking at the business angle of life sciences and healthcare right now, not academic level partnerships, which are always fruitful and go on all the time and are necessary. We saw some other examples of that earlier today. But at the business level, it's worth looking at the tremendous amount of transformation that not just the life sciences industry, but all of healthcare is undergoing right now, which I think presents some interesting opportunities for Taiwan. And let me just spend a couple minutes and I'll cede the floor and we can maybe take up some of these points later in the discussion. If you look at what's happening in the US and Europe, which has been the traditional markets for healthcare products, and that's where Chris's company made most of their money in the past, for example, and all the multinationals did. Because of demographic changes, because of issues that we're reading about in the paper every day around sovereign wealth challenges, fundamentally governments and other payers in healthcare cannot pay for all of the healthcare that they've effectively promised their populations. So when Chris mentioned reimbursement, they're looking at new ways to try to assess value from products. And the word that's used most commonly is outcomes. We want to pay for outcomes. Well, outcomes that's can be a very, we want to pay for efficient, improved outcomes. Let me be more specific. That requires data. And so I think there's a tremendous opportunity around a business model that isn't just about the product. The product's important, but it's how, with that product, you measure either increased efficiency to the system through data or improved health outcomes. And the last point I'll make on this is we think about where healthcare spending is in the mature markets these days. A very small percentage of people consume the majority of healthcare. 5% of the population in the United States consumes more than 50% of healthcare expenditures. These are patients with chronic conditions, often multiple chronic conditions. And so if companies wanted to start to think about how might I have an influence on changing this unsustainable picture around healthcare spending, we might look at ways beyond our product or our pill to say, how do we impact this patient population? And so I think there's lots of interesting business models around that. They involve different ways of care. They involve different uses of technology, IT technology, remote care, et cetera. So as you think back to, and this is, I'll tie it back to Taiwan, if you think back to a lot of the competitive advantages Taiwan has, and many speakers referenced around IT, for example, I think there's great opportunities to think of life sciences broader than just, I'm going to develop the next biotherapeutic, which is a great and admirable goal, or the next medical device, but I'm going to look at a different paradigm for care. So I'll stop there.
Let's Dr. Lowe.
Okay, thank you for the organizer to invite me here. And sometimes I just wonder why I'm here. And I'm not exactly in the biotech area, but really definition of biotech is a little different in US, in Taiwan, and I certainly would like to clarify a few things before continuing my introduction. Biotech in Taiwan is, well, in US, normally the people is referring to life science, pharmaceutical. But in Taiwan, I think biotech is cover a much broader sense. And actually it's life science, pharmaceutical, medical device, and even something like cosmetics. So it's not really it's a joke, but really it's, I think that's a fundamental difference. So when you hear about some of the presentation talking about is how much funding, how much productivity come out, and from my understanding, I think what my position here is a personal experience and about the Taiwan Biotech and how I started a company in Taiwan. So I can see is really it's about 90% of the biotech investment in Taiwan is really going to the life science pharmaceuticals. And when you hear the productivity, and I would say it's probably 90% of the productivity is from non-life science, and which is not surprise actually, because if you can see it, it's a life science take a long investment, and the return on investment, although it's very high, but it take a long time. Okay, so they take a lot of investment. So I should say is the government is very brave and is doing a good job and try to promoting in this particular life science and pharmaceutical business. So now coming back to my story, I myself, I'm in Boston for more than 30 years. I think some of you probably know me. And about probably in 1989, at that time, I got a teaching job in Taiwan. So I went back to Taiwan. And actually, reality is, I'm not the professor, okay? And I just want to do business. So when at that time I went back to Taiwan, I didn't see anything I can do. And because my interest is in the medical field, biomedical. So I'm telling you this story is probably you can see it's how advancement been doing for the past many years. So I didn't accept the job, come back and forming my first company, ASD Products. And this company has been with me since then. So then again, in 1995, between 1995 and 1998, at that time is I have an opportunity, actually is chair a medical device forum in Taiwan. And it happened Dr. Lee is the chairman for that. And that's the last time we saw each other. That's how many years ago. So at that time, is, I have few projects I'm interested to bring into Taiwan. And the reason is I don't have money. And I'm looking for the funding, the VC funding. So I look around. And at that time, interesting enough, at that time, although DCB has been established for a long time, but really not much you can talk about at the time. Okay. So medical device, I'm talking about medical device, by the way, is more like Dr. Fan is talking about medtech, biomedical, instead of biotech. And I'm talking about biomaterials, implantable medical device. So at that time, Taiwan is not doing that. Okay, the best technology over at that time is they just move in from a broad back and urology back, and it's moving to a catheter. And I remember that is actually is a study now, and actually it's under Dr. Lee's supervision. There's several projects going on. One is hyaluronic acid, one is collagen, one is biodegradable. Actually, they have some impact in Taiwan now. So, but unfortunately at that time, semiconductor electronic industry sucked all the money. And although they're talking about every investment is require maybe $100 million investment, but no one really blinked the eye. They just feel that's fine. I mean, everyone is investing in the electronics because they can get the money back within 1 year. So who really care about investing anything else? So I failed. So I didn't go back to Taiwan. So I set up